Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Armada and a controversial hot take that I am going to throw out there. Maybe my hottest take of 2024, maybe not. It depends on how you view it. And it's that basically, I think AMG treated Armada very, very well from a certain point of view. We're going to talk about this in today's video and also point out some really interesting lies that were told about Star Wars Armada. So the reason I say that this is a hot take is that I think a lot of people are going to say that no, AMG pretty much screwed the pooch with Armada, hence the the mistreatment of it throughout all of the years, and I don't think that that's the case, and hopefully I can explain why, and maybe we can agree to disagree, or maybe you will agree with me. Let me know down in the comments section below, or jump on my Discord, keep the discussion going there. We also are still doing the 12 Days of Life Day, so make sure you enter to win any of the awesome giveaways we're doing this month, and just by being a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos, that enters you to win. Also, check out the previous videos I've done this month, because you may have won something and missed it already. So, back in, 2021, AMG had, finally had said something, look, I know you guys have been waiting for an Armada update on what we're doing next, and, well, we're not doing anything. Then we go forward to this year, and then they finally said, oh yeah, I know you've still been waiting, and we're still not doing anything. Even though they did put out like rapid reinforcements, and some of that was decent, some of it was completely disastrous. But that's kind of an interesting take on how AMG kind of does things. Now, I say that they gave Armada amazing treatment, and I think Armada got treated the best out of all of the games, and primarily what I mean by that is this was the best thing that could have possibly happened to Armada under AMG. AMG always wanted these games to can't really prove that, but they obviously never really took Armada seriously. Numerous like lot of people have confirmed that they never were serious about making X-Wing and Armada go, and unless of course they could do them on a sprue, and I don't think they ever got the go-ahead or the okay to do them on a sprue. But if they had, and I want to talk about if AMG had actually tried to keep Armada going like they did with X-Wing, what would we have had? X-Wing, they kind of tried a little bit with card packs, and like, can we just make this game going with cardboard? There was talk about that, and it was never going to work. It wasn't a long-term sustainable thing. If they had attempted to keep Armada going and to actually produce content for Armada and hire Armada developers, the problem is why that would have been so bad for Armada, and why I think the way they treated Armada was the best that they could have, the best case scenario for Armada, is that AMG has this very narrow view of how they want their games to be played and how they want people to play their games. And so they would have had to have completely redesigned Armada to fit that view of that very kind of casual area control board game style miniatures game hybrid thing. And if you look at kind of like how Shatterpoint is, that's kind of how they want people playing games. They don't want anybody killing anybody. They want you just sitting around babysitting objectives and being like, ooh, I've secured this part of the map, so I win, because my miniatures are placed here, and none of them leave the board because we want to showcase how pretty they are, right? So there's just a lot of certain things that they seem to do for like all of their games, and that Armada would have gotten this kind of treatment. The first one would be the removal of bids. Points would either be completely removed from the game, or be changed such that like bids don't matter anymore, or if you do have a bid, it penalizes you. They did that in X-Wing, where like bids actually gave negative points, to you, and so your opponent got points for every point you didn't use in your list, so you had to hit exactly at the maximum points. Imagine with Armada, like, you get penalized for having a 399 point list. your opponent actually, scores extra victory points. They start off with 1 victory point right off the bat. So now all of a sudden you have to kill something, and otherwise they're going to win. So that would be really weird, just because you couldn't fit a point. Randomizing first player, making that a completely random thing. They love to just randomize first player and have it possibly even have it change every turn. So you can't plan for anything. You have no idea who's going to go first or second. Again, put a lot of randomness into the game that's based on a much lower randomizer than most other games. Like Armada has a lot of static values and static decision making. Obviously, there are dice for attack, but there's so many things to regulate those dice, like intensify firepower being so popular, for example. There's so many things to, movement is very static. There's a very specific movement tool. Defensive tokens are static. I know exactly what defensive tokens I have. I know exactly, I'm going to be able to cut your damage down by half. So statistically, there's a lot of probability. And it's a lot more white. Like Armada is more like chess, because I know exactly what you have. I know exactly what defensive tokens I have. There's still a little bit of randomness. You might roll the accuracy. You might roll 3 accuracies and lock out all of my tokens and things like that. But, they like to inject a lot of chaos and a lot of randomization. They may have even gotten rid of defensive tokens altogether and put defensive dice in there, or put some with some weird justification. It was not fair that players knew exactly what defensive tokens they had, so we made this new randomized die that has defensive tokens on there. As you roll to see if you have a chance to use a defensive token or something like that. I also imagine they would have changed objectives. They love their version of objectives, and I could definitely see them changing objectives to where they're more along the AMG system. Objectives in Armada are really good, but obviously they're not all perfect. Some of them certainly need some work. However, I think for the most part, Armada's objectives hit the game with this beautiful balance that, in my opinion, still incentivize combat, but also give you a way to potentially win even if you're losing the battle. But you still have to participate in the battle. It's like the 60-40 sort of blend. Combat's still, if you can table your opponent, that's still the way to go. But, if you can't, maybe maybe you do have a movement to contact and you're losing the battle. Okay, well, you still have a chance. You can still score some objective points and either break even or lessen your losses, or have a surprise come from behind win by playing the objective. So you can't ignore the objective. And the player with the superior force also can't afford to ignore the objective, but it still incentivizes combat. So some of the objectives enhance combat and make combat like the sole focus and stuff. So I really like the balancing of objectives with Armada. And AMG most certainly would have changed that. They would have wanted to make it their own. And they would have probably turned most of the objectives into babysit a location, babysit a point of interest, babysit a space station or a special magical asteroid. Oh, you guys are going to mine the asteroid. You have to keep your ships here. And most of their objectives are more about area control and more about de-incentivizing combat. Don't go out there and fight that ship. Stay here and babysit the objective. And I would have seen that doing so. I could easily have seen them doing something like that. I could also see them having done standardized loadouts. They don't like when people are very good at list building, and if you can build a list that is very, very effective and gives you an advantage, of course, that's the nature of tabletop gaming. But they don't like people being able to build a list that is going to do well, and so they rather make standardized loadouts like they did for X-Wing. Again, when they announced standardized loadouts for X-Wing, while the idea of it sounded very good, they also point costed them so well that you couldn't afford not to take the standardized loadouts. So you kind of had to. Imagine getting an Imperial Star Destroyer, an ISD-2 with all of the top upgrades, maybe XI7, maybe gunnery team, a good defensive retrofit, maybe even a title in there, and you get the whole thing for 110 points. You're already getting a 10-point discount on the ship, or even at 120 points, and you get all your upgrades for free or whatever. You'd have to take that. You couldn't afford not to, right? So something like that they may have done to kind of or sometimes even when those standard loadouts for X-Wing, they would give you upgrades that weren't possible. You might have gotten like a, 3 turbo laser upgrades on an ISD2 or something like that if it was a standard loadout. Some impossible things. And they also like hero units. So you would have seen the de-incentivization for generic ships. So a lot of that you would have probably seen. This and effectively they would have completely changed the game. The game wouldn't even resemble. If you look at what they've done, what they did to X-Wing, it's a completely different game. It loosely resembles the way X-Wing used to be played. X-Wing used to be a dogfight, and they completely removed the ability to play it as a dogfight. There is a single objective that is like a King of the Hill that resembles a dogfight, but you still have to do your dogfight in the very center of the map. So if you put obstacles there, you have to fly through them, things like that. Whereas X-Wing, you could dogfight on the edges of the map. You could dogfight everywhere because they said it was a tower defense game, right? They completely removed that capability and replaced it with like multiple different objectives. And even for the tournament setting game, you had to play that. If you look at Legion right now, Legion doesn't, only loosely resembles the original version of Star Wars Legion. It's a very, very drastic departure. They do all these new additions because they when they decide that they wanted to, take a stab at one of these games, they had to completely break it and rebuild it as their own. And this is now AMG's version of X-Wing. This is now AMG's version of Star Wars Legion. They've even changed the artwork for Star Wars Legion. So if they had done that to Star Wars Armada, it wouldn't even be the game it is today. So I know there were a lot of people sad that AMG, treated X-Wing and Armada so poorly. I think the only really bad treatment was the fact that they strung us along for so many years expecting that they were going to do something. And you could say, well, that the one update they gave at the end of 2021 was pretty clear that there were no products in development. And I will agree to you that was a clear announcement. However, then they turned around in 2020, and then gave us rapid reinforcements, which directly contradicted it and sort of painted a picture like, oh, they are actually developing stuff. Here's all new ships. Here's all new ship cards. Here's all new card art. Here's all new stuff that was obviously designed for the game and play tested and all of this other stuff, So there was design, there was things done. OP kit, they had that. Then we had another rapid reinforcements that had even more significant and wildly broken stuff too. And that's the other thing is, with a lot of their changes, there may have been things that were wildly broken, like original Anakin Skywalker Commander. So again, if they had actually taken a stab at being serious towards trying to get Armada, fully supported, it would have been a complete nightmare. So I think them largely ignoring Armada has been the best possible thing for Star Wars Armada under AMG. Now, it's not the best thing, period, because the best thing would have been for Armada to continue to be developed under Fantasy Flight Miniatures. The vision they had for Clone Wars having a couple more waves. Even if they had to sunset the game at some point, if they had finished the game. It was never finished. They had only begun the Clone Wars. They had the core sets and then the launch wave. There should have been at least one more wave, if not 2 more waves of content, plus maybe another Corellian conflict style expansion, things like that. Maybe some card packs and some more squadrons. Like that all should have come out because there were a lot of things that were built for Armada that were never finished. There is still an update coming. But from what I understand, it is not the AMG treatment for Armada. It was, I'll leave it at that. So I have high hopes that the update will be entertaining and interesting, and and definitely I'm looking forward to seeing that. However, again, and also I said I wanted to talk about lies. AMG had go on and said, right after they had posted this, their next stream was a painting Princess Leia for Shatterpoint, and Will Schick spent like the first half of the video talking about their decision to kill X-Wing and Armada, and he goes on, he talks primarily to talk about how it's financially impossible to make pre-painted ships. He said in order for them to make pre-painted ships, they would actually lose money. They would have to pay us. Basically, they would have to pay out of pocket to be able to get stuff made. Again, the entire thing. First off, it was not genuine. It was a way of bending the truth, and I'll just call it a straight up lie. And the reason I'm calling it a straight up lie is because it's a misrepresentation of information. Yes, it's not a lie to say that you would have to pay to get things made, because everybody pays to get things made, but the context in which he was saying it made it sound like they're going to lose money. He talks the whole time about rising costs and how, yes, there are rising costs, but it doesn't mean that a game isn't profitable. I think what he wanted to say is, but it wouldn't have been business savvy, is that, well, Legion is more profitable, and so while these games would be profitable, are still profitable to make, they wouldn't generate as much profit as Legion is, and frankly, he never wanted these games to work. He wanted to kill these games from the very, very beginning anyway. Although he didn't say that in the video, pretty much everybody who knows Will Schick knows that that's the truth. I mean, you can look at the way that they've treated these games. How many paint streams did they ever do for Star Wars Armada? How much did they really like these games? They did, I want to say 2 ever, and most of those were just in the very, very beginning. One of them was like very, very early. Like, oh well, we have when like some of the Clone Wars stuff was coming out. They did painted, I think, an Acclimator or something like that. I think for one of the mini extravaganzas, like their first one, I think they painted one Armada ship. But they never talked about these games. Even when they were releasing rapid reinforcements and stuff, it was just a single tweet and done. They wouldn't talk about it anywhere else. They went so far as to ban people from their Twitch for even saying Armada. Or kick people, temporary bans, where you're locked out for a set amount of time. So it was always clear that they wanted nothing to do with Armada. It looked like they were trying a little bit with X-Wing, but only if they could completely destroy the game and remake it in their own image. But again, with this cancellation, he paints it as, we can't afford to make these ships anymore. Which is, again, it's also a nonsense statement. It also implies that they had no intention to raise prices. Prices go up. There's inflation right now. Prices constantly go up. Look at what they're charging for a Legion expansion right now, like $50. A lot of, you can't even imagine what the new starters are going to cost for unplated, unassembled plastic, right? So they're charging an awful lot. Again, they're primarily profit driven right now. They just got handed a bunch of debt from Embracer Group. I'm sure that there's corporate pressure to maximize profits. Of course, that makes sense. But he's misrepresenting stuff, saying that woe is us. We can't afford to make these games anymore. I'm like, you could have always afforded to make these games. You just don't want to. Is what it really boils down to. And the proof is in the pudding. Look at Whiz Kids. This has been circulating recently, and I have one of these on pre-order too, so I can't wait to check it out. Star Trek Into the Unknown has come out. It's got high-quality pre-painted miniatures, and they are large. I've done quite a few videos on these. The Enterprise, it's $29.99. A small ship, Asmodee would have charged this much, or more than this, for even just a small ship. Now, this is a large ship that also separates. So not only is it a highly detailed, pre-painted ship that looks beautiful, plus, with the base and all the plastic, not quite ISD sized, but close. It's like in between a Victory and an ISD. I've done a size comparison video, so if you want to see the version of this that comes in the core set, that's available as well. But these are big. It's a big ship. It's incredibly detailed. They're really, really good. Whiz Kids is owned by NECA, and NECA makes amazing action figures and stuff. They have a great. They do great miniatures, pre-painted stuff. They do it very, very well. So the fact that you can sell one of the biggest ships in the game for this, something almost ISD sized, for $29 and still make a profit, proves that he's completely full of baloney. What he's really trying to say is, no, we want to be making, 99% profit on all of this stuff. We want to sell you a 10-cent Legion expansion and charge $50 for it. Again, I don't know what this costs Whiz Kids to make. I imagine they're making an acceptable level of profit on it. And it could also be that the price is a little low on this because it's a new product line and they're trying to establish it. But here's the thing with this particular ship, and a lot of people have been talking about. Yes, the Enterprise is in the core set. The core set's $150. You're getting 6 pre-painted, pre-assembled ships in there, plus all the game components, which is actually a pretty decent price. And plus, I mean, Miniature Market has it. You can get it. You can get a core set now even cheaper, like for like $110 or something like that. It's MSRP'd at $150, which is still a really good price in today's market. If you look at like what did you get in Armada? You only got 3 ships. 3 pre-painted, pre-assembled ships in the Armada core set. That was $100 like 9 years ago or something like that. The fact that you're getting double that for only a 50% increase in price, which again with inflation is basically the same price in yesterday money. Like that's I think it's honestly a fantastic deal, and the fact that you're getting the most beautiful ship in the game for only $29.99. Now, this is an alternate version. It does have a different paint job. It has more of a metallic paint job. The reason that they have dropped this, now this doesn't have any extra game components. If you're playing Star Trek Into the Unknown, you don't necessarily have to get this. It doesn't have any new game components. I believe it does come with the same stuff that you would need to run this ship in the game, so you could run a second Galaxy class. I think you'll have a shipboard, and the basic generic crew that you need just to field +1 ship. But no new game components, nothing new. This isn't like a gatekeeping, we have to buy this because it's got the rest of the Enterprise crew. I think the rest of the Enterprise crew that wasn't in the core set is probably going to come on the Sovereign when they do the Enterprise E or something like that. That's my guess. That's kind of how it looks right now. Because they're going to be doing standalone versions of a lot of different ships. I believe there's going to be a Defiant that'll be coming out, but they may not all follow this exact model. And some people are saying, well, why did they do a ship that's already in there? Why didn't they do a different Galaxy? I think they still want to do that, and it may be that you can run it as a different Galaxy, like the Odyssey or the Yamato. They may do stickers or decals or something like that, so you can make it whichever one you want, or make it as just a generic Galaxy class. The reason they did like a duplicate with a different paint job is this one was specifically designed to target collectors. They wanted to get people who maybe weren't as interested in dropping $150 to get the models, but they wanted just the Enterprise. Kind of like what was that Diamond Select, or basically the people who are looking for really nice ships, and they are beautiful ships. So and I'll be taking a look at this one when they ship. This one's shipping in 2025. But again, gorgeous ship, really, really highly detailed, and certainly comparable with Star Wars Armada, if not better. Basically it's that same type of amazing, beautiful detail that you come to know and love, and I thought it was great. I did repaint the saucer section because I wanted to apply an engine glow or a deflector dish, kind of that blue glow, that lighting that's in there, but I didn't want to actually put LEDs in there, so I did repaint a little bit on that. But people repaint even FFG ships all the time, so I think it's just a proof that they could have kept this thing going. They just didn't want to. They didn't want to, and I think that's for the best. So that's my hot take. That's my controversial take, is the fact that they kind of set Armada, instead of when they took in the kids, instead of giving Armada its own bedroom, they said, you know what, you're going to be like Harry Potter. You're going to sleep in this little closet under the stairs. I'm saying that was probably the best thing ever for Star Wars Armada, because we still have our game pretty much exactly how it was under Fantasy Flight Games. We still have the pure, good rule set that makes for an amazing game today. That's my hot take. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Happy holidays to you. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. My patrons, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. The spice must flow. You can't take the sky from me. And always wash your socks.